This fancy new hat.
Oh yeah, real fancy. It's good stuff. This is it. Dude, we're rolling. This is.
I know, that's it. Okay, video. Or we're doing the new hat thing.
This is a brand new hat.
We already did the new hat.
Okay. Brown it's down. We've all heard that, right? That's one of the biggest things. You go to a client and we hear, yeah, they're brown it's down neighbors, so there's not much we can do on that side. And I want to take this a little bit of, I take offense for even part of this because a lot applies to a certain community that Dylan and I work with a lot, and we'll talk about that later. But brown is down, is that really a bad thing? Brown is down. What is brown is down? It means that the hunters next to you, whether public or private land, they shoot anything that moves, right? That's that group. Brown is down. You know what's interesting about that is I find that brown it's down applies to a huge percentage of all hunters. Not everyone has the land where they can just wait for the big buck to walk by or promote good management. They just want a deer. And maybe I know people that haven't shot a deer for years and they don't hunt a lot. It's not their passion, but they like to hunt and they go out, and if a deer comes by, if it's a small buck, maybe they'll pass it. Unfortunately with that too, sometimes they're passing it up just because they don't want to be made fun of. Because we as hunters have a habit of, even if it's, whether it's lighthearted or it's serious, someone shoots something they're excited about and we diminish them in some way. We talk about mature buck hunting on this channel a lot. I talk about it in my books too, because that's the hardest thing to do. Pretty easy to go out and shoot a doe anytime you want. We talk about those tactics, doesn't matter the age. Small bucks, probably easier than a doe. We talk about 3 sense animals, meaning the fawns. They need 3 senses. They need the sight, sound, scent to be spooked by you. A lot of times, those little fawns, they need to see you, hear you, smell you. A doe is more of a 2 sense animal. How many times have you seen it stomping on the ground, but then it still walk downwind of you while you're bow hunting, get your scent and run. A buck, a lot of times, the reason you don't end up seeing a mature buck, a truly mature 4 or 5 year old, maybe a 3-year-old in your area, that would be that oldest buck. They need to just see you, smell you, or hear you a little bit, and they're gone. And that's a lot of times they hear you 200 yards away. They're gone. You never even knew they were there, let alone if they get downwind of you, they're gone. They just need 1 scent. And so that's when we talk about the lowest hole in the bucket, which is mature buck hunting, and we focus on that. However, I encourage people to shoot what they want. Shoot what gets them excited. Don't shoot something because someone else is telling you to, like you have to fill a buck. I know someone that I hunted with in the past. They went to a couple states with me, but they were the type of hunter that they were proud for. 50 years they'd shot a buck on public land, but I would say probably realistically that was 42, 43 spikes that they shot. They had to shoot their buck every year, and they didn't really care his size. They just wanted to tell people they shot their buck, regardless. What's your reason? But brown it's down. I don't think a brown it's down is a bad thing. Brown it's down neighbors, what I find is typically those people that are overzealous, they're in there, they're going to shoot anything that moves. They don't shoot a lot of the older bucks in the area. They don't shoot a very high percentage of older bucks. They don't shoot a lot of deer. That's why they're typically hunting that way in the first place. And I don't think they're bad neighbors to have. I really don't. They're really not hurting your hunt as much as you think they are. In fact, you could take advantage of them. Because they're not shooting big bucks, because they're invasive, because they don't worry about scent, because they're willing to shoot anything, that means they spook a lot of deer onto your property. And if you're not setting up your property to hold those deer during the daylight, because deer during the daylight move very little. Even a mature buck probably expresses over 95% of his home range during the night, other than outside the rut. And even then, he's in a small area moving all over the place, especially in small segmented private parcels. Now, larger, big public land areas, a lot of places where they study deer, he might move a lot further, but that's not realistic for the average person out there hunting small parcels, even small public land parcels that are fragmented within our suburban and urban areas across the country. Deer in general, mature bucks, does move very, very little during the daylight. That means if you are an actual herd builder, you're in that 5% club. That's what we try to teach on this channel, where you're looking at what can I provide these deer? I need to provide them daytime browse, woody shrub tips, briars, hardwood regeneration. Maybe you have the blessing or benefit of some acorns to add on to that. And then you need that food plot on private land where you can have the best of all worlds for those first 3 feedings of the day, where it's early morning, late morning, and then early afternoon, where those deer need to feed as rhythmic pattern feeders 5 times a day, and you're supplying what they need on your small parcel, because deer don't move very far, with those first 3 feedings of the day, and you're controlling effectively what they do during the daylight. And that's why someone with 40 acres sandwiched in a bunch of other parcels, a larger land, even on private land, can be the true actual herd influencer in the area, because we try to teach that you're looking at that daylight movement, you're trying to promote deer to the next age class, hold them, you're holding a higher percentage. It's all about percentages. You just have more bucks on your land, you get to pass on more to the next age class, and you're doing it so with the principles that we teach on this channel. That's that 5% club. And I say 5% because less than 5% of all hunters, and I think it's more like 2 or 3%, actually ever become a true herd influencer. Because you can't do that with just quality plots, working on the habitat, timber stand improvement or TSI, controlling invasives, doing all these cool things, providing summer forage, improving the soil. You don't become an actual herd influencer just by taking care of the habitat. That's not a choice that goes together with that. You don't just, well, okay, I'm being a good steward of the land, so I'm also going to be a good steward of the herd. Nope, doesn't work that way. You have to specifically target strategies during the hunting season, whether it's habitat related or hunting related, that actually allow you to be a herd builder. And it doesn't matter what you do to the habitat, that doesn't define or mean that you're going to actually be a herd influencer. In fact, there's a lot of people that are good herd influencers that don't have a lot of money to do so and work on the habitat. They do, but they do it smart, and they make wise decisions so that they cater those efforts to the fall so they actually can build and be a herd builder. Just because you have great goals doesn't mean you're a steward or a conservationist when it comes to promoting a great herd. And if your habitat's not helping you promote a great herd, if your habitat's not helping you produce diverse wildlife species on your land, just checking off boxes that need to be done by some state agency or whatever, it gives you these check boxes, this list of ingredients you have to have, then you're not really a true conservationist. Because if you're just doing things to do things and they don't actually ultimately improve or create results, I'm results driven. Just because you spend a lot of time and money at something doesn't mean you're producing results, and that's why we talk about herd influencers, true herd influencers. There's takers out there. Takers sounds bad. I don't think it's necessarily a really bad thing. What I mean by that, there's takers out there. So you have a herd influencer, they're doing a great job, and then there's 5 acres next door, 10 acres next door, and people hunt smart. I'm talking about herd takers. They don't have the time maybe for habitat or the land, but they hunt smart, really smart. I was at a client long ago, about 500 acres in the Madison area, Madison, Wisconsin, really expensive land. And the neighbor on the 30 acres next door that went out through a funnel of a river system, they just hunted 2 stands over there and they shot the booners every year. And it was because they just had 2 stands to hunt. They were hunting smart. They didn't do anything to the habitat. They didn't improve the habitat. They didn't improve the local herd. They weren't herd builders, but they took very successfully from the local herd by just hunting smart. These are not bad people. These are good hunters, probably don't have the time or land to do something. And when it comes down to it, the best neighbor, do you want to be next to a herd builder, a taker, an actual, quote, brown is down person that shoots everything that moves? Well, you make a strong case. I'd rather be by a brown it's down neighbor than an actual taker. Because a brown and down is, they might shoot a small buck here and there, a couple does, but they're not really influencing the herd in a negative way more than you think, because you have a lot more control by becoming an actual herd builder on your land. So I want you to think of that perspective right there. That's why there's a little bit of a rant, and it's especially a rant when you come to some of our best community of clients that we have, and Dylan will fully agree on this, that some of our most passionate, hardworking, spare no expense community that we work with are the Amish. And so we take offense, quite a bit when we go to an Amish client, and I had 2 in Michigan out of 9 clients in this last trip. I just got back last night about midnight. We're shooting videos today. We need to catch up on some videos, and just hardworking, passionate people that are very results oriented, and they spare no expense strategy or time to get the job done. And so when you hear, well, we have neighbors next to us that are Amish, they shoot everything. Well, no, I don't. And what's funny is I can think of a lot of non-Amish hunters that are brown as down people. They're not Amish. I would guarantee there's hundreds of times more brown it's down non-Amish people. Or if you look at per capita, You can look at, however you want to look at it. There's, the Amish community gets a bad rap when it comes to shooting a lot of deer and the browning down. I know a lot of non-Amish people that are brownings down people. And really, you know, again, you could take advantage of brownings down people. You really can. You have a lot more power. I don't like the defeatist attitude that we have brownings down neighbors on two sides, so we can't do anything. We give up. And when really you could take advantage of them, you can actually build a herd. It actually helps your ability to build a herd on your land, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We had some brownest down neighbors next to us in Wisconsin for a long time. They shot a couple nice bucks over a 15, 17-year period, and they shot a doe here and there. But largely, when they went out to hunt, they cleared their land, and they all ended up on our land. So we enjoyed that daily activity of them pushing onto the property and not really holding anything and putting a lot of deer into our lap out of actually better habitat that they owned or hunted. And we took advantage of that, and that's what you should too. Think about it, brown it's down. Think about Amish. This wasn't a video to stick up for the Amish. The point is, a lot of people are surprised when I tell them that some of my best clients that work the hardest and spare no expense or strategy are the Amish, and they're extremely results driven and work very hard. Dylan, you have some perspective on that. It's kind of crazy how you've kind of worked with the Amish community out in Pennsylvania mostly.
Yeah.
And you have a large group.
In New York, but yeah, the Peachies have hooked me up with a lot of work.
Yeah.
I've been to probably, I don't know, at this point, 15 to 20, I would guess, Peachy properties.
Yeah.
And
different clients too. I mean, not
these
they're
not all. Yeah, these are all separate Peachies that are very, very passionate about whitetail hunting and take it very, very seriously. And a lot of them kill big deer, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, some are really good hunters, and you probably won't hear about it on the front pages of a magazine or on the Outdoor Channel. But bottom line is, I just wanted to offer a little bit of perspective with this because, again, you know, kind of getting back to what you shoot, why you shoot, when it comes through, I think we need to come to a place where I'm all for good regulations. And we can go that's it gets very political and very opinionated, but I'm all for regulations, just like I like going to Canada. I like the laws they have in Canada for promoting both trophy fish and good eating fish all at the same time. I like a lot of the rules in that are restrictive more in when it comes to whitetail to produce quality herds. And there's a lot of very proven things with decades of experience with different states, not my experience, but just state results of changes and regulations and what actually was effective, what wasn't. We're not even going to get into antler restrictions, 1 buck regulations and stuff like that. That's for a rant for another time and discussion. But there's a lot of states with histories of either 1 buck regulations or antler restrictions that actually lead to some real good clues and to with decades of experience and hundreds of thousands of hunters as to actually what works or not. And when it comes to shooting what you want that's within the law, go for it. Have fun. If you're a brown down hunter, have fun, do it. You're probably doing it because you enjoy hunting and you just want to get out and shoot something. That's great. If you're a herd taker, that's awesome. You probably don't have the time or maybe the willingness to go out and work on habitat, maybe the property either, so who cares? You're going out there having a good time, and you're probably a really smart hunter. A lot of you probably have in common, you know, with people that that are just sitting on 5 acres and shooting a big buck every year and not really contributing to the local habitat and herd. And let's not forget the Amish community. Again, I don't know if there's very many people talking about it online, but we work with an awful lot of them. I have a trip coming up in Ohio, or it'll be 8 clients in 9 days, and typically when I'm over that area of Ohio, about 50%, 40%, 1/3 are Amish, Mennonite background, and I always enjoy working with them. So think about it, brown it's down, bottom line, who cares? Folks, I want to make sure you check out my web class video series, whether it's how to design your food plot program or how to design your property in general. And we have a new one coming out that'll be how to hunt the rut. But these bucks back here are a testament. Some of these bucks go back to 93. They're even in different states. I urge you to check out those web classes so that you can help yourself, help your land, help your hunt. The link is in the description. And also for those that have tried them out, I encourage you to offer some feedback in the comments below. Thank you.